Hi everyone, in this video we are looking at turning percentages into decimals, and in order for us to do that we need to remember what happens to numbers when we divide them by 10, 100, 1000 and any other numbers that have lots and lots of zeros behind them. Okay, so let's take a look. Let's say we've been given 30%. And we know that 30% means 30 out of 100. Okay. Now, when we want to turn this into a decimal, it's very easy. Before I actually do this, I'm going to tell you that this is one of the easiest lessons you'll ever learn. Okay, one of the simplest, easiest lessons. Probably one of my shortest videos as well, because the rules are quite simple. So this 30 has an invisible decimal point there, and we're dividing it by 100, and 100 has got two zeros. Because 100 has got two zeros, we're going to move the invisible decimal point two spaces this way. Because there's two zeros, we move it two spaces this way. So the answer is going to be, so the invisible decimal point is there, two zeros, 1, 2, and then we put a 0 in front of it. So 30% is 0.3. Okay, so let's try another one. If we were to do 45%, we know that's 45 divided by 100. And because there are two zeros, we write the number and then we move the decimal point, which is invisible, 1, 2 spaces, and we put a 0 in front of it. All right. Now this ties in nicely with the lesson that we did some time back, where we were dividing numbers by 10. It's the same rule. So if I said to you, what's 30 divided by 10? We write 30. How many zeros does 10 have? It has just one. So our invisible decimal point here is going to move how many spaces? It's going to move one space because there's only one zero. So it moves one space and the answer becomes 3. 3.0 is 3, isn't it? So 30 divided by 10 is 3. So in the same way, 45 divided by 10, we write 45, the same number at the top. How many zeros are there here? There's only one. Invisible decimal point moves one space this way. The answer becomes 4.5. Okay? Now I'd like you to have a go. I'd like you to do 63%. I'd like you to turn it into a decimal. And let's say you can do 89% as well. Can you turn that into a decimal for me, please? Just pause the video. As I keep saying before, if you're not sure, rewind, just watch again, look at the rules, and then come back to this when you are confident that you've got the correct answer. Okay, off you go. Okay, hopefully you've had a go. And you will see that 63% looks like this. 63% means 63 out of 100. There are two zeros in 100. So 63, two zeros means the decimal point needs to move two spaces. So it's going to be 0.63. Okay, and in the same way, 89 over 100 becomes, we're going to write 89. There are two zeros in 100, so it's going to move 1, 2 spaces this way, and we're going to put the decimal point there. So dividing by 10 and dividing by 100 is quite straightforward, because we look at the number of zeros and we move the decimal point depending on how many zeros there are. Let's take a look at this one. Let's say we've been given 45 divided by 1000. Okay? When we are dividing by 10 and 100, the rules I've just given you work quite well. But when there are more zeros, so when it's more than 100, when the bottom number is more than 100, there's an extra step I want you to include, and this is what the extra step is. So you write the number 45. How many zeros are there here? There are 3 zeros. We're going to put 2 zeros in front of 45, so it's always one less than the number of zeros in total. Okay, let me say that again. If there are 3 zeros, we're going to put 2 zeros because 2 is one less than 3 in front of the number. and then our invisible decimal point is here. How many zeros were there? 1, 2, 3. So we move it 3 spaces backwards. 1, 2, 3. Okay, let's do another one. Let's do 65 divided by 1,000. So we're going to write 65. How many zeros are there? 1, 2, 3. What's 1 less than 3? 2. 2 zeros here. And then with our invisible decimal point, which is here, we're going to move it 3 spaces backwards. 1, 2, 3. Okay, so the answer is 0.065. And this works with, let me just change the pen. This works with any number that you're dividing by 1 with lots of zeros. Okay, so let's try 10,000. So let's do 78. How many zeros are there in 10,000? 1, 2, 3, 4. What's 1 less than 4? 3. So we're going to put 3 zeros here. 1, 2, 3. And then my original question. How many zeros were there? 1, 2, 3, 4. Our invisible decimal point is here. We're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4 spaces backwards. So 78 divided by 10,000 is 0.0078. Okay, I'd like you to have a go now. Let me just do this once more with you, just to make sure you've absolutely understood it. It's really simple. We've got a number divided by 1,000, for example. There are 3 zeros in 1,000, but we're going to cancel 1 zero and we're just going to put 2 zeros. Okay. In this example, there were 1, 2, 3, 4 zeros. We cancelled the last 0 and then we put 3 zeros in front of the number. And then we go back to how many zeros were there in total? 1, 2, 3, 4, because there are 4 zeros. In this one, there were 3 zeros, so we move the decimal point accordingly. So try this one now by yourself. I'd like you to try these two. And before you do, just remember the rules. Look at the number of zeros at the bottom. Knock one off. Put 2 of those zeros, in this example, in front of the number, and then move the decimal point depending on how many zeros there are in total. Same thing applies here. Okay, pause the video, have a go, and then take a look to see if your answers match mine. Okay, here we go. We're going to put 480. Now, how many zeros are there here? There are 3. 1 less than 3 is 2, so we're going to put 2 zeros at the front. And then, because there were 3 zeros, our invisible decimal point here is going to move 3 spaces to the left. 1, 2, 3. Now, there is no number called 0.480. So this number is just 0.480. Okay? And same rules apply in this one. So we've got 62. 62. And how many zeros are there here? 1, 2, 3, 4 zeros. What's 1 less than 4? 3. So we're going to put 3 zeros here. 1, 2, 3 zeros. Our invisible decimal point is here. How many zeros were there in total? 1, 2, 3, 4. So we're going to move this 4 spaces to the left. 1, 2, 3, 4. So the answer is 0.0062. So I hope this lesson was useful. Like I said, it's probably one of the shortest videos I've ever made. But it's very useful. These tricks are really useful to make your life easier when you're working with all these zeros, because it can get quite complicated. But as long as you follow the rules, you can never ever make a mistake. Thank you for watching.